African continent. And we have two particular sovereigns that are new in this annual meeting today, and I'd like to just call out and welcome them. We have the Republic of Ghana and also the Republic of Senegal, who are now new members of TDB. And for those of you who wondered why we love these two countries so much, yes, we do love them, but they also happen to be the respective homes of the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, which is based in Accra, Ghana. And of course, Senegal is the host country of the African Civil Aviation Commission, which we also lend to. So it always made a lot of sense for us to have these countries in our mix as well. I should also very quickly mention that we're delighted that the Republic of Botswana from SADC has also joined our membership. They come on the foothills of Mozambique and also one or two other countries in the sub-region there who had not had the occasion of launching a brand new instrument for equity investment in the bank, a novel instrument called Class C shares. It's actually also dubbed Green Plus shares. We launched it at Sharm el-Sheikh at the previous COP27, and we are very grateful that the African Development Bank took the lead to subscribe to the initial offering, and now we have a whole host of other institutional investors looking to come into that particular form of investment in TDB Group. So this is us walking the talk of being committed to climate action. Your Excellency, Mr. President, esteemed governors present, distinguished guests, we are all very cognizant of the macroeconomic challenges which have affected our world since last year. Our Cabinet Secretary has made reference to this, but I would like to say that despite the challenges and the headwinds that we faced in the year 2022, we managed to record very strong performance yet again. Our institutional performance reflects a group performance that has several entities in it. I'd like just to take a moment to recognize the leaders of the different entities within the group. We have the CEO of the Trade and Development Bank, which is Michael Awori. Mr. Awori, if you can just stand up, so people can see you. And in case you thought it was an all-male show, it's not. We have the lady who runs the Trade and Development Fund, Madame Gloria Mamba. Gloria Mamba. And then we have Mr. Daniel Lamchun, who runs our Trade Finance Fund out of Mauritius. He's not here today, but we are happy to acknowledge him as well. And then the last entity within the group is our TDB Captive Insurance Company, which is spearheaded by Dr. Goodman Chakanyuka, who's also here today. If you can stand up. In 2022, we worked counter-cyclically, as many of you would expect us to step up our financing to drive greater impact where feasible. Financial institutions are not always able to drive funding as much as they would like because of some of the complexities. But our long-term project and infrastructure finance operations managed to register 17% year-on-year growth in our approvals for transactions in several economic sectors, including the renewable energy sector. 17% in a difficult year is notable. We're also pleased that through our trade finance window, we focused on tackling the disrupted supply chains and the disrupted trade flows that we all grappled with in the context of all the discontinuities worldwide. And we managed to boost our growth by 13% year-on-year in the trade finance space. Across our operations, we have delivered fit-for-purpose financing to a mix of clients. We serve not just governments, but also corporates and SMEs, as well as other banks within our member states. And we often do this in partnership mode. We syndicate with other financial institutions, with other development banks, with commercial banks, and we also crowd in insurance partners from within Africa and also London, the Lloyd's of London group, that is. We have also continued to observe high standards with respect to environmental and social safeguards, as one would, of course, expect from a DFI. At the end of 2022, I'm happy to say that 71% of our portfolio exposure was for transactions that posed low or no environmental and social risk. So we are also walking the talk in terms of observing the triple bottom line ethos of development finance. Against this backdrop of developmental returns that I've spoken to in project finance across various economic sectors, I would like to now turn to the matter of the bottom line. We are a financial institution. People are always very interested in the bottom line. And in this regard, I have referred to our asset size having reached $8.4 billion, but I'd like to happily share with you that we managed to record a net income for the year 2022 of $210 million. And we managed to maintain a healthy level of asset quality at 2.89% of NPLs. Our net income grew quite briskly. This number that I just quoted of 210 million is a 19% year-on-year increase. And that just shows how strongly we've managed to navigate the headwinds we have discovered in these years since COVID-19. This net income level, of course, does reflect in a very important ratio. We have shareholders present here. That turns out to a return on equity of 11.35%. That has been the return to shareholders. And for those of you who are in here who have not heard of the number, I hope you're smiling. I also wish to point out that our shareholders' capital and reserves year on year grew by 14%. And this is evidence that we recapitalize a lot of our profits. We don't just distribute the profits, we channel them back into development finance and serve more of our clients that way. As a result of the very strong performance we've registered in 2022, the TDB Group Board of Directors has recommended a dividend distribution at this annual meeting. This will be considered in the closed session later this afternoon. I hope the governors will proceed with the decision that has been recommended. We will give you more details on that in due course. A very quick word about one of the new and young entities within our group, the Trade and Development Fund. The Trade and Development Fund is a different legal entity within TDB Group. It was launched in 2020, about 3 years ago, to house and grow TDB's deeply concessional funding and grant funding for capacity building and technical assistance, as well as other programs we intend to launch in the future. Programs that will help refinance possibly debt positions of some of our member states on a best effort basis. We all know that Africa's private sector is dominated by small and medium enterprises and micro enterprises. TDF has long had a very strong program supporting this segment of the business community. We've been able to increasingly reach groups that are traditionally underserved and not easily reachable through the main banking operations of TDB. This past year, the TDF SME program supported various enterprises across agribusiness and manufacturing, among others. One particular project of note supported 700 MSMEs and helped create some 20,000 jobs. Another project based here in Kenya involved support to 3,000 smallholder coconut farmers who managed to dramatically improve their revenues and productivity. With this glimpse of some of the activities of TDF, I'm delighted to share that we'll be holding during this TDB annual meetings our first inaugural Board of Governors meeting for TDF, which is separate from the bank, as I mentioned. And this is a coming of age of TDB Group where we have different entities that have different areas of specialization. It would be remiss of me not to talk about our asset management operations. We managed to take over a fund management company that we had a 51% shareholding in over the past years. Now we own 100% of this fund manager company based in Mauritius. This fund manager now manages a special fund that's sitting at not so much because it's a young fund, it's $150 million or so, but it's managed to deliver an absolute return of 15.35% in US dollar terms since its launch. And of course, the performance last year was just under 6%. And the benchmark is not normal equity returns of double digits. This is a money market fund type of investment vehicle. So we target high single digits, not double digits. I would also like to mention that our captive insurance company that is also fully launched and operational, also domiciled in Mauritius, is now doing very well, and we managed to deliver a 125% increase in turnover over the last year and start registering healthy profitability. These are all the different entities within the TDB group that are now grade space. So we are managing to hold the ground in a very difficult environment, and we thank the member states who've gone out of their way to stand by the bank and help ensure that we can continue to deliver and grow according to the Agenda 2063 vision. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not just a triple bottom line institution in terms of ESG, environment that is, and social impact and financial returns, but we also believe in excellence and sustainability. In this regard, I'm pleased to share with you that our young TDB tower here in Nairobi, which is a first-class high-grade building, was recently EDGE certified as a green building. This was due to the substantial savings in terms of water and energy consumption that the building uses, and is also in terms of the very significant reductions in use of carbon-intensive building materials as the building was being put up. Of course, we did pay a price for having this kind of a green construction approach. We were delayed by about a year and a half for the conclusion of the building, but the result is a beautiful green building and a first-class product that will now very nicely populate the skyline of Nairobi. But I don't want to leave you with the impression that our new premises here in Nairobi is a big part of the TDB story in Kenya. It's not. We have a very strong footprint of impact here, as we do in other founding member states across the Eastern and Southern Africa region. You heard briefly Madame Kamari making reference to the landmark Turkana wind power project, but that's just one of many. We have supported numerous other projects across several sectors, such as agribusiness, manufacturing, healthcare, including hospitals, transport sector, including KQ, ICT companies, other renewable energy projects in the geothermal area, real estate, the financial sector in terms of many of the banks here in Kenya, and also SMEs. So you can see the very wide mix of sectors and entities that have benefited from the operations, products, and services of TDB Group. As we look forward to our continued impact in the region, I'm pleased to announce this morning, on the occasion of Kenya hosting the annual meetings, that we have, in the wisdom of our board of directors, approved a symbolic corporate social responsibility grant to a deserving project here in Kenya. The recipient is the Thome Water Project in Laikipia. This project is located in an area which has faced extended droughts in this country, as we've heard time and time again. It has struggled with unreliable water supply throughout the year and prior years as well. And we've worked closely with the Ministry of Environment that actually identified and helped establish a mitigation project in this regard. Our grant is $100,000, which will contribute towards the purchasing of dam liners to help conserve water and to help support tree seedlings being planted to strengthen the ecosystem of that area. And before I invite the representatives of this very impactful project, I would like to very briefly once again give my heartfelt appreciations to the government of Kenya led by His Excellency Dr. William Ruto, the good president, and of course the cabinet secretary who represents Kenya on our board of governors, for being a very strong member state in TDB and making our lives very easy to operate across the region from Nairobi. On this note, I would like to invite the Honorable Tuya, the Cabinet Secretary for Environment, to come to the stage together with the project representatives of Thome Project. I think Madame Nganga, Wanjiku Nganga, among others, will be here to receive the symbolic check that we would like to hand over on the occasion of this ceremony. So if the representatives of the project are here, we would like you to come forward, please, and do the honors with the good minister. And we would like to also invite two of the chairpersons of the TDB entities. We have Madame Dlamini, who's the chairperson of the TDB Group Board of Directors. Madame Dlamini, Alice, if you're here, and Professor Sasa, who's the chairman of the Trade and Development Fund. These are the two entities that do this kind of very good development financing decisions that help these types of entities. So Madame Dlamini, I hope you're here. And if not, I guess I can stand in for her. So if you can please bring forward the check so that we can honor the grantee and put some smiles and let the good President of the Republic know we care about the small folks as well.
Thank you, Group Managing Director, for your enlightening presentation. Under your leadership, we have experienced a continued transition and transformation of the bank, and look forward to do more with you as your team. Can I now ask my colleague to invite Cabinet Secretary Njuguna Ndungu to welcome His Excellency. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for this morning. My task now is a little bit simpler. Mine is to invite His Excellency to make his keynote speech, but before I do that, you can see that I'm smiling because we already have my colleague is already smiling because he has some support. And the second thing is that I'm smiling because I have a potential check coming from the dividend. You can imagine that is awesome. So that is good for smiling in the morning. But Your Excellency, it gives me a singular honor and pressure to welcome you to deliver your keynote speech to this gathering of the 39th annual general meeting of the TDB, which we really accomplish. We are happy for accomplishing some of the ambitious prospects and even development projects that we anticipate. Your Excellency.